She said, "You don't allow corpses to stay in the world." I operated like a zombie actually. Like, I don't think anybody comes back 100%. Shock, fear, surprise, overwhelming sadness. You never know what someone is going through until you experience the same. I actually did not have time to grieve. And I don't think anything prepares anyone for losing a loved one. In December, just close to Christmas, was one of the saddest days of my life. Some people stopped talking to me. And when I wondered why, I now realized that they said that widowhood is a stigma. I remember going to bed each night and thinking I'll wake up and it's all a bad dream. And the person says, "This is so-so-so's widow." My initial instinct was to stand up and give her a dirty slap.
Hi, I'll be taking over the Center Stage podcast today, and my name is Precious, and I'm a relationship coach, and I have here with me the Aunty Funke. Hello, Aunty Funke. It's an honor to be with you here this afternoon. Would love to hear your experience, and would like you to share with us how it has been and how it was after losing a loved one.
Thank you very much, Precious, and it's really interesting being on the other side of that chair today. In 2019, the year I turned 50, I was widowed. I lost my husband, and I don't think anything prepares anyone for losing a loved one. And you know, when they say it's like a bad dream or a nightmare, it really was that. And I remember that day just like it was yesterday. It wasn't, yeah, it was something else. It was something else. 2019 was the year. And I think everything changed from that moment. And in 2019, you know, I remember starting that year and I just felt, oh, this year is gonna be different. But different, of course, you wake up, you start a new year and you expect the best. And of course, I was still expecting the best, but it turned out to be a very interesting year. And in December, just close to Christmas, was one of the saddest days of my life in 2019.
I actually also clearly remember how things happened so fast, and I can also say that we were with you on that journey, and it wasn't an easy one. Clearly, everyone was affected, but we thank God. So how did the emotions affect your daily life, your daily routine, and your relationships with people after the loss?
I'm not sure there's a straight way to answer that. And maybe first, disclaimer, this is really the first time I'm sharing my experience anywhere else, especially with people who are not close to me. So I'll try and articulate my thoughts as much as possible. Like I said, I'm not sure words can describe what the emotions were, but I recall shock, fear, surprise, overwhelming sadness. And at some point, I knew I had to pick myself up from all that. I have 3 wonderful children who were really supportive throughout that time. They had lost their dad, I had lost my husband. So the emotions are not anything words can articulate, and I don't really think anybody has a formula to describe, because everybody grieves differently. And I remember going to bed each night and thinking I'll wake up and it's all a bad dream. Yeah, but I kept sleeping and waking up and the reality was still there. So I knew I really had to still pick up the pieces, you know, and move on. But one thing that really helped me was the support I got. And I can pack that support in different groups. I think family first. then the church and the workplace. I think they take, that next level of support, and you can't explain how much support you need at that time because you never know. Each minute is different, each day is different, and there are different encounters that will shape the way you feel or the way the day just opens up. Yeah, and again, we're in a culture where there are different perceptions about different things, and really when you hear the word that they say, you never know what someone is going through until you experience the same. There's nothing as true as that. Really, there's nothing as true as that. Yeah.
So how were you able to actually turn the grief into strength? You clearly have shared and explained how no two situations are alike because people are different. But God has been faithful and God has truly helped you. So how were you able to actually turn that grief into a source of strength to actually bounce back, especially because you also had yourself to take care of and the children to also, think about and take care of at that very difficult moment of your life?
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting question, and the personality of who I am, usually on a normal day, before I think of myself first, I think of other people. I mean, I was in the middle of it all. The children were with me, and of course, close family members who had also lost a loved one, right? And it's as if I could pack my own pain to the side and start to empathize for other people. So maybe thinking through that, and one day I saw a member of staff, and I could almost, the pain and the grief that person felt was almost palpable, and I'm like, so if other people are feeling all this pain, do you understand? How am I able to walk through all this, or am I able to? So I think empathizing for other people. So I somehow, people will say, oh, she's strong. I think that should be taken into context, because the demonstration of strength it depends on what you go through and what happens each day. So for me, like I said, I normally think of other people, so I was able to I operated like a zombie, actually, that's the word. It was just like, do what you have to do, this has to be done, you can't afford to break down, you can't afford to. So I actually did not have time to grieve. I recognized, in fact, the first time I really, really cried, I remember the date and I remember the event. So apart from the normal shedding of tears when things happen, but the first time I was able to, oh, this has really happened, and it hit me that this is what it is. And I'll tell you one of the things that happened. Right after it happened at the hospital, when you're still trying to grapple what's going on, then a nurse came in and said, because I refused to leave, and the nurse said, oh, madam, but you can't stay here. And I said, oh, but I'm not going anywhere. Then she said, we don't allow corpses to stay in the ward. My initial instinct was to stand up and give her a dirty slap. Because when she said that word, then almost as if it triggered in my brain that, are you saying that this really happened or this did not happen? So I kept quiet. In a nutshell, she ushered me out of ICU then and said, madam, you really have to leave. Now, the other trigger I had was when a very close family member I visited, and they were trying to introduce me to someone that came into the house. And the person said, this is so-so-so's widow. Then I'm like, who are they calling a widow? Are you sure? Where is the? Then it hits me. So sometimes people say things because you're asking, how was I able to come back? I don't think anybody comes back 100%. People cope as the days evolve. You have your own different coping mechanism, but there are triggers all around you. And someone can just innocently walk into a room where I'm at, and the person just has the build of the person I lost, and I go back to that space. Someone might just say something inadvertently. You don't even want to know the kind of triggers. Let's even go to the church. You know how we pray in church? There are some prayers they pray in church that is as if they are going for you. Or when someone just comes to visit and they say, I hope you've done this, and then they pray some prayers and you're beginning to just say something simple and leave, or just keep quiet. You know? So people try and support you as much, but I don't think we are that space yet where we understand what grief really means. And everybody grieves differently.
Yeah, so having this discussion with you actually just relieves the memory of that period, because I remember when I was called and told, I just left everything and said I was coming to your house.
And you came.
And
I think you spent a night or two.
I slept that night, slept over several nights, you know. And it was an unbelievable experience, but we thank God for how far He actually has brought you. And we also clearly have seen how you have gone through on that journey, and the grace of God has, you know, brought you to this point. So how significant is it to keep the memory of a loved one alive? I don't know if I'm asking the right question, but how significant is it to actually keep the memory of a loved one alive in meaningful ways?
So the word that drops in my spirit each time I think of what happened is legacy. So if you connect keeping memories alive to ensuring an enduring legacy for many, many reasons, then you'll do all it takes to make sure that you remember that person for the best of their moments, the best of their times, the best of who they were, because everybody came on earth for a purpose. And you take those moments, and a lot of those moments are not pictures that you see. They are not things you write down in a journal. They are things that are ingrained in your heart. So some of those moments are the things that keep you going, keep you happy, help you to heal. And I think, for example, talking about this today is probably an expression of the fact that I'm getting there, I'm getting better. And it's not true when they say time heals. That's not true. Time changes the level of pain you go through, and time gives you the opportunity to think about it differently, to expand the way you're thinking, and just your perspective just changes, and then you decide to see life in a different light every day. Yeah, so.
Okay, so I know quite a number of people would actually be listening to this podcast today, and a number of people are at different levels or at different areas of grief. And if you were going to speak to them, what would you tell them? How would you speak to them? Because I know you clearly mentioned that at that point of grief, quite a number of people came in and they were really not making sense.
Oh, they said lots of things.
Yes.
One person from church came and said, I hadn't eaten in days, and it happened to be the period of fasting in church. And the person said, out of course, a good heart, Madam, I hope you know you have to fast, so that if you fast and pray well. I almost said, you better get the heck out of my house. And I'm like, where is that coming from? It would have been better if he just came, sat down. You know the funniest things? I don't really remember or appreciate people that came and spoke a lot. I only remember people that came and sat with me. They'll just come. Some will sit by the floor. I'll wake up, I'll meet them there. Some will sit by my side. Some will hold my hand, but say nothing. Because what can you say? You know, so if I were to tell, that was the question, right? Tell someone, I will say, show up. Of course, I pray that we all have happy moments. Nobody wants to be unhappy and sad, but these things do happen and life happens. But show up authentically while you are grieving. So for me, for example, I could not identify with the traditional ways of grieving. I did not wear black because I was already in that dark space. I was already mentally in that dark space because there's a difference between the expression of guilt and what the person is going through. People around are concerned about what they see. Nobody cares about your mental health. And for me, wearing black or wearing those dark clothes will just have put me in that hole and I would not have been able to come out. Remember, I did not even seek any professional help. So I had to help myself to get out of it. So I didn't wear black. I was able to get back to church as soon as I could, even though I stayed at home for 6 weeks, doing nothing. Well, not going out, just staying at home. But as soon as I could step out, I stepped out in the way. And one day I was in church and someone said, "Is that not the woman whose husband just died?" And then because my ears are sharp, so I looked back, I smiled. So show up authentically while you're grieving. Do what helps you to get yourself back to that mental state. Don't care what people say, because people say a lot and people talk a lot. Some people stop talking to me. And when I wondered why, I now realized that they said that widowhood is a stigma. So maybe if they continue to be my friends, maybe something will happen. I'm telling you, I still remember at least 2 or 3 families that just kept their distance. But I respect that, and I don't judge anyone. I gained some new friends. I lost a couple, but like I said, show up authentically as to how you grieve and open yourself up to that space to be vulnerable. I think I will say seek professional help. That's one thing I did not do. I didn't do that, but I think looking back with benefit of the hindsight, maybe that would have. God just helped me. Honestly, God just helped me. I just got grace. God helped me. And support from people that genuinely care. Because a lot of people will claim they care, but they come because it's just like saying a woman had 7 children at the same time. Not everybody that goes there identifies with that, or really they just want to go because this is a miracle or this is something I want to be part of it. So a lot of people that you think support you at that time really don't. They just want to be part of the story so that they can say their own version. So only few people really understand what you are going through and are really there to support you. So identify the real people. And when you feel the pain, express it. If you want to cry, cry. If you want to break a glass, don't hurt yourself though. Just do something that helps you to get to that place where your heart is lighter, your chest is lighter, and you can see life differently. But after every dark tunnel, there's always light. There's always light at the end of the tunnel. And I think that inspires, or should inspire people who have gone through, because when you think you've gone through a lot, you hear other people's story, you're like, what was I even thinking? Thinking that this is the end. But at the end of every sad story, there's always a new beginning. Always a new beginning. So find your own inner strength. There's always that inner strength. Now, to cap it all, God is the ultimate source of healing. And I don't think I'll be here today if I did not believe in God. I don't even know how those who don't believe in God are able to cope. I wouldn't be here today if that dimension was not opened up to me and I could find, But one other thing that really helped me was worship songs. In fact, I opened that year with worship. I will never forget. And you know me, I don't sing. I'm not in the choir. But that year, the Lord said to me when I was turning 50, you have to sing a song. And I was like, which song? What? And it was 3 nights to my birthday. I hijacked someone that I felt, oh, maybe she sings as well. Come and back me up. And I went to the studio and it was like 9 o'clock at night. But I think I'm able to make those connections that, through praise you find strength. In the presence of the Lord, there's fullness of joy. And maybe that was, not even maybe, I know, God's grace was manifest, because each time I think I'm low, a song always bursts forth in my spirit. So when people say, I don't know how she's coping, she's strong, I smile because I know where the source is. But again, like I said, you're authentic to who you are.
Thank you very much.
Your inner strength.
Thank you very much, Aunty Funke. And I believe that quite a number of people that have listened to today's podcast will gain strength from all you have said. So before we wrap up this session, is there any last minute things you want the audience to know? You want people to know that can actually stay with them as a thought that would either give strength to someone who is grieving or also guide them on how to support an individual that is grieving?
I'm not a grief counselor, but like you, I'm a coach, and I know for every coach, you are supposed to allow everyone the freedom to express themselves. And you don't go to a coaching session with the hope of directing the conversation. So like I said, there's no behavior change strategy to grief yet. I haven't seen it, but understand the situation, understand the person. It's not easy to find the words, so silence. Just show up, be present. If there's anything you can do to support, do that. But when you lack the words, silence is golden. Silence is really golden. And just being there, holding the hand, just staying there, just being around is good enough. It's good enough. And it's not time for speculation. It's not time to say, maybe this person is guilty, maybe this should have been done, this should have been done, no, that's not. Don't let, the person is already grieving already. Don't add guilt on top of it. And unfortunately, there are so many things we say because of our culture. You might not be allowed to express yourself. And because of the mixed reactions you get, if you're not careful, you want to retaliate. So if you are grieving, just keep quiet. Silence too is golden, except when you receive that professional help or you think you're in an area where the community around you, you can trust them and they trust and you can lean on each other. I think that's it for me.
Thank you very much, Aunty Funke. It was nice taking on the Center Stage podcast today.
Yeah, I didn't know I could do it. But over the night, I was like, I'm going to tell them I can't do this. I don't think I can.
Really?
Yes.
Oh,
it's not an easy topic. But
yeah. Well, thank God for grace.
Yeah. Thank you.
And we thank God for God.
Thanks for hosting me.
Thank you for the opportunity. So thank you very much, viewers, and do have a lovely day.